Welcome to GLS's in-house key issue predictions for 2024, where we break down what we think are going to be the issues of the day for the in-house community as we move into 2024. Let's dive straight into it. The first three issues that I'm going to talk about won't hit you with the force of revelation. In-house teams will continue to operate in an overall climate of uncertainty. We've got military conflict, we've got upcoming US elections, we've got more speculation about imminent pandemic outbreaks. The outshot is that we believe that businesses will continue to operate in an overall global climate of uncertainty. For many, this will mean a slowdown in activities, a wait-and-see approach, but for others who have grown tired and fatigued by operating in this uncertain conditions, there will be a go-now attitude, as projects will be pursued regardless of whether or not there can be a complete crystal ball as to global economic conditions. The second trend is that workflows for in-house teams are certainly going to continue to increase. For businesses that are taking a more cautionary approach, in-house teams will look internally, look more towards restructuring operations, supporting those activities. Within the legal team itself, greater focus on improving the way things are done, and effectively we're going to see the in-house teams just working a lot harder. The mix between assignments that emanate due to internal or external factors will obviously change. For those teams who are working in a go-now environment, externally inspired projects will continue to keep them busy. Overall, though, our reading is that workflows will continue to increase. Costs will remain a key issue for in-house teams. Very few teams that we are aware of are actually anticipating an increase in the budget available to their legal teams. So for most, it'll be a case of carefully managing existing budgets or achieving cost reductions. In terms of specific trends that we predict for 2024, the issue of data is going to become increasingly important for in-house leaders. Data, whether it be data that's managed by the organization, data that's used to determine how a legal team should operate, data that evidences how a legal team is performing. All of these types of issues under the broad heading of data are going to become increasingly important. In-house leaders are expected to become far more data literate. The impact of data usage for an organization is going to increasingly come under the remit of the legal function as well, in addition to the CIO function, as there are increasing bodies of regulation governing data usage. The next key trend is on the jobs outlook, and this is a tale of multiple seasons within one. For larger MNC companies, particularly those emanating out of the US and Europe, we see and have seen already signs that job security may not be for everybody quite what it was in the past. In our global headquarters in Singapore, we've already seen major financial institutions start shedding some of their members of the legal team. Now, whilst that's one end of the spectrum, we do think that as a result of uncertainty and increasing workflows, that legal teams in medium and smaller size legal teams will continue to be extremely busy and thereby enjoy really strong job security. But we're just flagging up front that for as the impact of global uncertainty and increased cost drives, for some larger legal departments, unfortunately, in-house legal team members will be a little bit more susceptible. In terms of job continuity, we're seeing clear challenges arising in relation to the retention of Gen Z and millennial in-house team members. Uncertain operating conditions, increasing workloads are not necessarily the kind of environment in which Gen Z and millennials thrive in some cases. So retention strategies around that particular demographic of the in-house community is going to be something of a challenge for in-house leaders. Legal operations throughout 2024 is going to continue to gain traction, if not clear liftoff. the constant need to transform the in-house team is going to continue, will be a manifestation of, amongst other things, how you cope with those increased workflows, but also deliver the reduced costs. What we are seeing, and we expect to continue, is increasing interest in legal operations roles, both from non-attorney and attorney participants. We're seeing quite a number of senior in-house lawyers making a crossover into the management of legal operations functions and doing a great job as they do so. The legal operations, the growth in legal operations is also going to increase the spectrum of opportunity for participation for in-house team members in many organizations. So legal operations is a phenomenal growth area for 2024. Legal tech, we do have some clear predictions around this. For many of the larger organizations, as they try and look at cost savings and also make more usage of data-based assets, we anticipate seeing more uptake of contract lifecycle management systems and large implementations. The trend towards predominantly suboptimal implementation experiences, we expect to see that, misfires as we're calling them. This is consistent with our general position that the bigger the company, the more amenable they are to a big spend to fix, a big problem. And we have clear views as to the inappropriateness of that if all of the necessary precursor work hasn't been done. We'll continue to sound our warning bells about buying your way into efficiency through legal tech. For smaller to medium-sized teams, we have seen throughout 2023, and we're going to expect to see throughout 2024, a increased curiosity, appetite, and willingness to explore app-based solutions to support the legal team, as opposed to the more DEFCON 5 approach of taking on a very complicated, all-encompassing CLMS type solution. So apps for things like AR-based contract review, simple workflow automation, clause banks and the like will increasingly become more commonplace inside legal teams. And we see that as a very good thing because it allows those teams to demonstrate the productivity that legal tech can deliver at a very minimal price point with minimal implementation issues as well. Cybersecurity, this is a really big issue. We anticipate that increasingly for the unlucky legal teams in unlucky businesses that experience a cyber threat event, that a lot more work is going to have to be supported. We are seeing across the board increased incidence of cyber-based events. This means that legal teams are really going to have to make sure that disaster recovery strategies are in place, that they've got crisis management and data reporting, infrastructure policies and protocols all down pat. Additionally, the extent to which the legal infrastructure that governs cyber threat and data usage management needs to be in place. So the data protection house needs to be in place. Cyber threat, IT security protocols need to be battened down and rehearsed to make sure there's a high level of awareness. We see there's increased risks from class-based actions across the board, regardless of jurisdictions, even if they are not used to class-based actions. The whole cyber threat and the risks from cyber events are going to change in many respects. The liability associated with being online and data usage generally. So this is going to be a very tough issue for the in-house community to manage. Hybrid working. This is a spicy point. Despite the fact that most of us have had experience with remote working during the COVID era, and heaven forbid that returns, although there are some not promising signs around that, fingers crossed, we're expecting a bit of pushback to what is now becoming an accepted working practice. Our clients are fairly evenly divided in terms of three different propositions that hybrid working is acceptable. The question becomes how many days in and out of the office, and those that are quite happy to work exclusively from home, and then those that are looking for a return to the office. We don't see that this issue has played out. And whilst there are positives and negatives for hybrid working arrangements, we think this is going to play out on a workplace by workplace basis. Watch this space. Law firms. We know how important the law firm can be to the in-house teams that need them. What's happening on that side of the fence, we can't divorce ourselves from that. We're already seeing job shedding. We're also seeing the usual kind of schizophrenic behaviour that exists inside law firms. On the one hand, we're hearing about record levels of NQ salaries being issued, particularly from the top US firms, and we're also hearing about job shedding from law firms. I think the key point that we'd want to articulate here is that the attention-grabbing headlines such as record salaries really don't tell you much. A couple of raindrops in Ontario doesn't tell you anything about the weather in New York. And I think that's the case with law firms. Our overall predictions are that law firms are going to be impacted just like everybody else in terms of uncertainty and the concerns that clients have around costs, and that certainly in-house of all the different parts on the legal services continuum where you could operate, that being in-house is a far more beneficial place to be in terms of job certainty. In terms of honourable mentions, obviously every year we see increasing interest in terms of ESG. Compliance will always remain a top issue that the in-house community has to wrestle with, so we haven't called it out specifically. For some of the larger teams in the more advanced, I'll use that term somewhat cautiously, jurisdictions, issues such as diversity and inclusion in the workplace will remain an important issue. Of course, making sure opportunities exist for everyone is an important issue, although the extent to which that has established traction depends on which jurisdiction that you're operating in. So overall, the in-house community for 2024 is going to be really, really, really busy. Workflows are going to increase, pressures and managing costs are going to increase, and some of the issues that we expect that you have to tackle are likewise going to make for a very interesting next 12 months. Hope you have enjoyed our thoughts on the issues that you're likely to face in 2024, and we look forward to supporting you all as you tackle these issues, whether through participation through the GLS Legal Operations community or through our representation with you as our clients. See you in 2024.